How's it going, guys? So, I am here to talk about Mortal Kombat. I just watched this film on HBO Max, and a lot of people got really pissed off at me when I did my trailer reaction because I had the nerve to say that I didn't think that it looked that good. I watched the movie, and it still wasn't that good. I'm not gonna lie and say it was horrible or bad. I'm also not gonna lie and say it was really good either. Like a lot of people are saying, I'm not really sure how they're watching this film. They're saying this is awesome. This is a great video game movie. I think we saw tons of other great examples of that last year and the year before even. They have been getting better at doing this. They used to be absolutely horrible back in the day, crafting films based on video games. This film, I know a lot of people that, are probably going to get pissed also about comparing this to the 1995 film. A lot of people were saying that they thought that this movie was better than that. And I noticed a big habit of people where they just jump the gun and right away start saying, oh, everything from the 90s was cheesy. It was bad. CGI was not developed enough. And just because, like, it's better developed today, they think automatically that outdates, like, all these previous movies that they're remaking. Completely forgetting about those are the original films, and this is the way those original movies were made, and there was something special about that. And the 1995 film had a lot of charm. This one we're going to talk about in a moment. So let's talk a little bit about this film, how it's crafted, and we'll start off from the beginning. We start off this movie in Feudal Japan. This is like, I believe it was a few hundred years ago, maybe at the very least. And we meet Hanzo, who's, family man. And we've got an assassin who is after him by the name of Bihan. And this is who would later become Sub-Zero. Bihan brutally kills Hanzo, shoves like a knife into him, and he still has the ice power. So he freezes his family, and he kills Hanzo, and just leaves him dead. Then his body just like evaporates into flames and everything. Obviously, right from the offset that this is probably going to set up for something down the line, and of course it does. As far as an intro, like, okay, I mean, I guess it's decent. It establishes, Sub-Zero. You see, some of his past there. So we move on. It's present day, and we get introduced to the new character, Cole Young. Right from the offset, we see that he's a cage fighter. He knows martial arts, and right away, we see this character is bland as fuck. And this is something we're going to see, and I'm going to repeat throughout this review. I don't know what they were thinking. They wanted to craft their own character for this movie. This is what the director and the filmmakers decide to do. They wanted to have their own original character. That's fine. Great. You want to do that. I'm not against that. I mean, you want to make up your own character. Okay, great. But make it good. When you have characters that are recognizable like that, and we've got a lot of characters here, and we're going to talk about them as they appear throughout the film. So Young, is a father. He's got a daughter. He's got a wife, and he's fighting. He's not making a lot of money. And Sub-Zero, Bihan, is hunting him down. He's come from Outer World, and he's coming after Mr. Young over here, Mr. Bland Cole. And Jax comes to the rescue. He comes basically out of nowhere. He's watching him. He manages to tell Cole to get to safety and go look for someone by the name of Sonya Blade. He gives him an address. He goes, meets her in like a trailer park, and finds out that, about a marking, that the marking that he has that he thinks is just a birthmark actually means something, that he's a chosen one, a chosen champion. And we get a lot of things happening here. Before that, we see Jax and Sub-Zero get into a fight in a warehouse, and we see the fan service right away. He freezes Jax, breaks his arms off, throws him down the shaft, and we kind of know right away, that we're gonna see, him get the new bionic arms right away. Anyway, back to the trailer park. We see that Sonya Blade is keeping Kano prisoner. And right away, I want to just say something about Kano. This undoubtedly was the best character in the whole entire movie. The performance, this guy was the only one really, I thought, really trying in this movie. The performances compared to what we got in 1995, you could argue cheesiness and everything. No one is like hamming it up in this movie, and some people don't like that. I get it. But in Mortal Kombat, if you're not like hamming it up, if you're, the way how they're taking this seriously, like the actors that are trying, and it just comes, everyone is so dry. Everyone just seems so amateur level in this film. We're not using huge massive actors here. I get it, but man, you got Cole in there being your leading man, your new character, and you've got everyone just playing these roles like Sonya Blade, and we go and we find out that Kano knows the location of Raiden's temple, and they're gonna go off to find Raiden. But before that happens, they fight off against Reptile, who's not really called Reptile, but you don't even get to see Reptile in his human form. He's just like basically in his reptile form, and that's fine. Right away, we get a pretty, funny fan service part where Kano reaches into Reptile, rips out his heart, and he says Kano wins. So, right off the bat, and there's a few of these moments here. They go on to Raiden's temple. They're actually are already helping out Jax. The monks inside the temple are repairing Jax, and they're giving him his cybernetic arms. The arms didn't really look as good as I thought they would in a 2021 film. And I get maybe they wanted to make it more realistic. Well, they're just kind of using mechanical parts, but if they have like the technology to attach it to his nerve endings and everything like that to make them work, you would think like, well, okay, that's still unbelievable. I seriously hate when they do that in movies, where they try to make things a little bit more like man-made just to make it more realistic, when we already have a film that's so unrealistic it's like retarded to try to make it more realistic. But whatever, that's the vision, that's how they want to do it. Okay, fine. So we've got Shang Tsung as the villain. So we're starting off, because this is kind of like we're starting off from the first Mortal Kombat. And this guy, okay, I mean, he's serviceable and everything, and he's got his minions with him that are working for him. So he already sent out Reptile. He's also got Melina in tow, and also Goro even shows up. So they attack the temple, and we get some moments. We've got Kung Lao, who's also at the temple, is also training, and there's some good moments where they're trying to unlock their Arcana, it's called, which is supposed to be like their hidden ability. And they're all trying to figure it out, and they get Kano to like access his and everything. And, they're all just trying to like train up for, to fight against Shang Tsung and everything. And I don't know, like I felt like really there was like a lot missing here. Like everyone just kind of like accepts this like right away, and this is like just a thing. I don't know, like something here like in the story was just like, like, oh, okay, so now we're fighting and everything. And it's just like, even like when they're teaching Cole about it, it's just like no questions asked, like just right away it's off to find Raiden's temple. There was really something missing. Like they just really sped through the story really quickly. Like yeah, there's a tournament and everything, and like you would kind of think like this guy's just fighting in a cage one moment, and then he's like, then all of a sudden asked to like basically save the fucking planet, and it's just like, oh well, okay, and everything. I guess maybe seeing reptiles like an eye opener for him, but I don't know. It's almost like they didn't really enjoy even telling this story. And this is what I'm telling you guys. Like, you gotta remember, this is also a video game movie. They've been doing this for a long time, just kind of giving you like a serviceable story. Yeah, they threw in more fan service. They definitely did. There was definitely like these people had played the games. They were throwing in little things like Liu Kang with the dragon. Instead of turning into the dragon, he used the flames to kind of engulf. Who was he fighting at the time? Cabal. Cabal shows up. So the flames kind of go on top of him. Yeah, so Cabal's in the movie, as I mentioned. Also, I mentioned Melina. Yeah, Raiden in this movie also, like, you compare this to Christopher Lambert, and I get like, people are gonna make the argument, oh well, they want to actually, pick someone Asian for the part. Well, okay, but then you could kind of use the argument, well, they picked the black actor for Melina, which also people argued about. But people always talked about this for some time. Oh, they should always cast them appropriate to what they're supposed to be based on the nationality. But what you get here is a very, very boring, bland cast where, we have a bunch of martial artists, which is great. We don't have to use stunt people. But how come, Liu Kang, you had a pretty charismatic actor in the 1995 film. You compare him to Liu Kang, and also the 1995 guy was super fucking jacked. Here you get a little wimpy Liu Kang that's, not as tall and nowhere as jacked. He's covered up basically through the whole thing. Kung Lao, the face on this guy, he just didn't seem like he belonged. And you even look at Raiden. Like, honestly, I'm getting, I get it. We wanted to, like I said before, we want to cast the correct nationality. We want an Asian person. We don't want Christopher Lambert in there, right? But what we get in exchange, instead of the charismatic Christopher Lambert, which we remember, all these years later, we still remember that over 20 years ago. We still remember that decades later, that performance. But are you going to remember this guy's performance? Are you going to remember any of these performances? Are you going to remember Cole Young's performance? So he's not finding his arcana. So, he goes back to the earth, back home and everything. And, he's back with his family until Goro appears. And that's where he finally finds his arcana. It's like the lamest power. Kind of gets just an Aquaman suit. That's what it looked like to me. Just, kind of like a suit, and he gets the two twin blades, for his arms. Like, this character was just so fucking lame to me. Like, this is who they wanted to put at the forefront. I don't know how people are like excusing this. I guess they like, because there's a good variety of Mortal Kombat characters in here. There really are. I mean, they packed more characters in here than they did to the first 1995 film. Now, of course, in Annihilation, they basically threw everybody in there where it was a big fucking mishmash mess. And, this is not really a mishmash mess. I would not call it that at all. But just everyone who's here, you don't really feel the performances except for Kano, and a little bit of like Cabal, because we find out that there's a little bit of a connection between the two of them. That's why Cabal has to wear that mask, is because, Kano, he's basically, he's an assassin himself of sorts, and we find that that's why he has to wear the mask. So Kano turns on them. So then we eventually, after there's like a big fight in the temple we move on. We have Shang Tsung sucks the soul out of Kung Lao, so he's basically dead. I guess we don't really quite see him dead, but he sucked the soul out of him, I suppose. We don't really get a lot from Shang Tsung. There's not really a lot from this guy and everything. And I get, he's one that more have his underlings, working for him, and that's all fine and well. So there's definitely more violence here, as I mentioned. There's more vulgarity. Kano is cursing every 2 minutes. It's well done. He's funny. He really is. He's entertaining. He's charismatic. So at the end, we pretty much get the big payoff, the thing that everyone wanted to see. There was a sneak peek released online of the Sub-Zero Scorpion fight, because we find out that in the movie it's explained that Cole Young is descended from Hanzo, who we saw in the beginning of the film, and we hear that he has been walking through hell for like centuries looking for revenge. Meanwhile, we've got old Bihan Sub-Zero here, and he's on Earth, like, I guess this whole time. I guess he was in hell, or he was in, outer world this whole time, just hanging out with Shang Tsung. I don't know. Because basically, as Shang Tsung said, like, when people die, it doesn't really matter because, it's Mortal Kombat, and these people kind of have an afterlife and everything. But we get the fight at the end, because it comes back to the to the gym, where Cole was having the cage fights and everything. It comes back there, and that's when Scorpion. That's where Hanzo makes his appearance. We see the famous get over here. And I thought that maybe, Cole was going to get pushed to the side here because, oh, here comes the entrance for Scorpion. But as the fight, carries on, we see Sub-Zero freezes him. They're like inside the cage, they're inside the octagon at this point. And then, he's frozen. He can't get free. So Cole helps him out. But in the end, we see that Scorpion manages to get free of the ice. He pulls off the mask and uses the classic like flames from his mouth, like does the flamethrower move and burns Sub-Zero to a crisp. After this is all said and done, Shang Tsung escapes. Raiden tries to get him with a lightning strike, but that's basically the end of it. And now they gotta already look for the next set of champions, and we see a little teaser. We hear that Cole is off to Hollywood. He's gonna find the new champion, and at the end we see a poster for Johnny Cage. So that is who's going to be in the sequel. And like after this, I'm not interested in seeing a sequel. I'm really not interested at all. Like I said, this movie just felt really drab. It felt like, there was a lot of fan service, but it felt very dull, even when there was action. Like, there's good action, there's solid scenes, but nothing very memorable. Like I said, you get a lot of fan service. You saw Kano ripping the heart out of Reptile. We see Reiko, with the big hammer. We see Jax in Outer World, bash his head like this. He basically clasps his ears and his head explodes or implodes. So we see that. We see Melina taking off the mask, and she ends up dying. We've got a big one-on-one fight between Kano and Sonya Blade. She jabs a lawn gnome of all things through his eye. So he's dead. And we see, so there's a lot of fatalities here, and we even hear Liu Kang say that when he kills Cabal, he goes fatality, and those little things were like a little cheesy to me. Even the whole mark with the dragon on them. Oh, they got the mark, and and then Sonya Blade's the only one who doesn't have a mark, and then when she kills Kano, she finally gets the mark. Because those are supposed to be the real participants, so Sonya was never really a chosen one until she killed Kano. I don't know, this whole thing was like, I can't really say it was terrible, but it just wasn't good. It really wasn't. Um, yeah, I mean, I can't really say I enjoyed this film too much. I was really like, this is one of those films where I was like checking like how much time is left in it. That's never good. If you ever find yourself like, oh, how much more time is left in this film? That, if you ever do that, that means you're really not enjoying yourself. You might be trying to say, well, the movie's not really that bad. Yeah, like I'm saying, there was things that I liked. I liked the callbacks to the games and everything. It was fun. I really did like Kano. I thought he did a good job. He made me laugh quite a few times in this film. It wasn't so like drab and dry that it was completely boring, but it was drab and dry and a little bit boring, but not to the part where I was feeling tormented. Sometimes it did, like the moments in the temple, like I did not like the when they were like training a little bit. I didn't, and also like the scenarios. Like, when they show Outer World, you think you're gonna see like some awesome scenery. We just had some really boring locales like the temple. When they show the temple, you think that you're gonna get like a cool looking temple when they were looking down on the mountains, and like it's shown to them. Liu Kang is the one who shows them the way to the temple, and when they go out to the desert, and I'm like, okay, so where's the temple? It's like built into the mountain. Well, that's not really grandiose. And I get it. Like I said, once again, oh, it's supposed to be more man-made, right? More believable. It's just, there's a fight inside Sonya's trailer. You don't really get too many cool fight locales. And what was Mortal Kombat all about? Well, the stages that you fought in, the subway, you don't get a fight there, right? The pit and everything, big portals behind. No, you don't get that stuff. Oh, maybe the haunted forest. No, you don't get that either. You don't get those cool fight. Oh, maybe in the sequel. Yeah, you go ahead and say that. This is just, it's really boring to look at a lot of times. There's not a lot of personality jumping out of this film. Like I said, in 1995, you had fights in hell in 1995. You get one fight in Outer World. You do get the fight with Jax and Rico. But that's about it. You don't really get too much else. The fights don't really happen in interesting areas, and you combine that with like the drab acting, and you're really just kind of left with a bunch of fan service, a few decent fights, a decent enough climax, that does tie things together in the lineage. But man, it's like, who cares about the lineage? Because this guy Cole Young, who's going to be in the second movie again, obviously, because this is who it's all about. Uh, I mean, we're really gonna get excited about this guy beating the leading man again and finding these champions and everything. And maybe we'll get some entertainment, Kano style, from Johnny Cage. But like, do I really want to watch the sequel? Because more than not, like the movie. It's not like I'm really 50-50 on. I'm like a quarter on it. You know what I mean? Like, I maybe enjoyed it like 25%. So to say that I wouldn't say it completely sucked, but it did kind of suck a little bit. When you compare this to 1995, to me that's a classic. I mean, like I said, that's my childhood. I have a lot of nostalgia for that film, and people always have a big problem about nostalgia. They always, oh, that crowds your judgment. No, well, the thing is, that's just my opinion. And I thought that the movie had a lot of charm and had a lot of good comedy. You only get comedy really coming from one person here. There's no good scenarios. You don't really feel like this movie is alive or anything. It's just kind of just drones on a little bit, and a little bit too much for my taste. So I know a lot of people are going to thumbs down this video. They're not going to really like what I have to say, and that's all fine and well. If you disagree, let me know in the comments down below. Well, I'll gladly discuss it with you. But yeah, didn't really care for the film all that much. Anyway, guys, please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bells to get all notifications when I post on my new videos. I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support, and thanks again, guys. I'll see you next time.